Hi everyone, I'm Rob with Landshapes Construction and Inspections by Rob. Also, ask Rob to be home savvy. Today we're talking a little bit about home inspections and why you should have one and the different things that home inspectors should bring to you from my point of view. This again, of course, is an opinion, but being a New York State licensed home inspector, I thought bringing a little bit of light on the subject is probably a good thing. One of the things that most of my clients I am finding when you start into the home inspection process, the biggest number one item that comes up is the fear of the process. Unfortunately, this is a process that shouldn't be feared. It's something that should actually be entered into as a very educational point of the process to allow you to understand the home that you're buying. A good home inspector should give you an unbiased opinion. He shouldn't be against the home, for the home, etc. His job as a home inspector is just to kind of spell out to you what you're buying. It's kind of like a test drive on a car. You want to understand what it is, what the problems are with it. Are there any history of maintenance problems with it? Are the different things with the house? How is the house acting in the environment that it's been placed? That's one of the processes that I kind of go through when I talk about a house. You can inspect 100 houses, all built by the same person, same type, same materials, put them in 100 different locations, and every one of those will inspect different. So again, the process is very individual per house. You kind of have to go through that process to understand each one individually. So you can't just assume that a house is a house and they're all the same. In addition to that, to take away from the part of being scared of the home inspection, yes, it is a place that is, we all know that when you look at it, you spend a very short amount of time and you decide that this is a place where I want to put my things. Well, the question about a home inspection is actually the truth of it is this a good place to put your things? In addition to that, is it a safe place to put your things? So your home inspector should be able to kind of break that all apart for you and give you a really informative inspection as part of the home inspection process. So some of the things that we look for, what are they? Probably the short part to kind of break them down into maybe 4 different types of subjects are, you have the outside of your house, of course. We always check that as we drive up on the property. We always have a outlook of how the house looks. Is it square? Is it true? Is it flat? Is it level? Does anything stand out that's out of the ordinary? Then we have how we're protecting our house, of course. We have the roof. Home inspectors have a option to climb up on top of that based on experience and ability to access that area there. Then we have the interior of our home. We have the individual bedrooms and all the different rooms and all the spaces that we have around that house. Lastly, then we have our mechanicals that are operating our house. Of course, kind of like the furnace, the hot water heater, and a lot of the other mechanicals that go into that home itself. Aside from those 4 major areas, there's lots of small bits and pieces that kind of break down that whole inspection process. And depending upon its complexity, will typically determine how much time is needed to go through the average house. Now, dispelling one of the number one myths. Home inspectors do not have a crystal ball. We can't look at everything, of course. Time kind of limits us to the amount of things that we can get into, unfortunately. But with that, we have a standard, at least in New York State, that we follow for what we are required to look at, how we looked at it, and then how we're supposed to report on that for the home inspection process. Now, we're not supposed to climb into dark spaces that we can't easily access. That's one of the standards that most home inspectors will follow very closely. We're not supposed to disassemble your furnace or any of those other mechanicals to break it down to find other mechanical problems or things like that. That's more of a service tech type item. But to remove access covers and panel covers and open doors and look in closets and look under things, that's very permissible. Now, it's up to the home inspector to move things around. I myself try not to move personal effects and items in most everybody's homes because you risk the chance of breaking and damaging those. And again, we are a guest in another person's home, and as a home inspector, we should respect that. Even on top of the fact that it's a place that you really want to gather as much information as you want to. Some home inspectors will allow you to travel along with them to go through the process. I kind of do it a different way depending upon the customer and the client of what they would like to get out of the inspection. If it's someone who has had a home in the past and is just kind of getting a home inspection done so that they understand what they need, a lot of times they will show up after I've done most of the process of the inspection. Then they will join me for a quick debrief afterwards. Please understand, home inspections are a lot of information. I have 25 years of experience in construction, 10 years in the inspection industry, looking at things. So a lot of my knowledge is going to be given in a very compact time of about 3 hours. Most of the time is a typical time frame, at least what I consider a good time to look at a house. And a lot of that information sometimes can be given very quickly and be very overwhelming. So please understand, the process is not a point of a home inspector finding all of the wrong things with your house. It can be very compact in the density of information, so very overwhelming in a very short time. Now, other clients I've had, they'll join me along the process and they'll follow me throughout the house, of course, and stuff like that. And then I've had other customers who don't even show up at all. They get a digital report. Sometimes they'll get a phone call and a debrief if that's what they would like. So a lot of home inspectors have a lot of different variable items that are available to them to pass on that inspection report to you, the possible client. In addition to that, home inspectors can use a variety of tools for looking at your home, from the basics of a screwdriver and a ladder to kind of access different areas and spaces like that. Depending upon the structure and things that I'm looking at, sometimes we'll use moisture meters and different kind of specialty tools that we'll use to help in the inspection process. Now, many of those specialty tools are not a requirement of a home inspector to go through the home inspection process. It's basically spelled out very much so in black and white. Home inspection is a visual process. We're not taking things apart again and damaging somebody else's house, stuff like that. The typical customer is going to be coming back to their house, and they appreciate it when their house is in the same working order as it was when I got there. So we try to respectfully do that for them and just leave it in that same working order. Hopefully this has answered a lot of the basic questions about the home inspection process. Some other day we may actually elaborate and bring somebody along for a ride along for a home inspection. Appreciate you watching this evening. Please check in with us for additional videos and stuff like that. Check the box liked, because we'd like to see that you liked our videos. Please subscribe to our channel. We also have the Ask the Rob to be Home Savvy on YouTube. Check that out. We would love to see your feedback in the future again, and thanks for watching. Have yourself a wonderful evening.